People are being indoctrinated to be historically illiterate buffoons who do not know anything about the history of their own country. Post-Millennial reports President Donald Trump has said that his administration will root out wokeness from the Smithsonian as well as other Washington, D.C. museums, and will do so in the same way the administration has dealt with colleges. Trump posted to Truth Social. Museums throughout Washington, but all over the country, are essentially the last remaining segment of woke. The Smithsonian is out of control, where everything discussed is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was, and how unaccomplished the downtrodden have been. Nothing about success, nothing about brightness, nothing about the future. We're not going to allow this to happen. I've instructed my attorneys to go through the museums and start the exact same process that has been done with colleges and universities where tremendous progress has been made. This country cannot be woke because woke is broke. We have the hottest country in the world. We want people to talk about it, including in our museums. After Trump took the White House in January, the administration took many colleges and universities to task over discrimination, equity, and inclusion, over DEI practices, and now the same thing is happening in the Smithsonian. So the battle over the museums continues, and it's a battle very much worth having. And I've even heard a few conservatives say, "Well, why are we worried about the Smithsonian? Why does this matter?" Well, it does matter. I mean, it matters a lot. Trump's point is that these museum exhibits represent the story of American history that we tell ourselves. And more importantly, the story that we tell our children. And that matters very much. Every country, every culture has a story that it tells itself about itself. And until the modern left came along, the point was always to tell a generous, positive, inspiring, heroic story about ourselves, about our country, to highlight the good rather than the bad. And this is what every country has done. Every culture, everywhere on earth. This is coming. Many cultures, especially historically, have founding myths. Right? They're not even true stories. They make up stories. And there's a million examples. The Polynesians, for example, created a story about a great navigator and chief named Hawaii Iloa, or however you pronounce it. And this was their guy who discovered Hawaii centuries ago or thousands of years ago. And now the guy never existed. In reality, the Polynesians likely discovered Hawaii by accident, by getting lost at sea and sort of drifting into it. But they would prefer a story where they are skillful navigators who discovered the island on purpose. And the Polynesians were skillful navigators, but they would prefer a story where this island was discovered by them on purpose. So that's the story they came up with. And every culture has done this same sort of thing where you have these legends, these founding myths. Now, I'm not saying that we should do that. I'm not saying the Smithsonian should contain made-up stories that we are pretending are real. I'm not even saying that we should ignore or deny the reality of slavery or any of that stuff. I'm not saying we should ignore the bad stuff. What I'm saying is that we've gone, and this is the point that I think maybe not everyone maybe that some people are missing, is that we've gone exactly the other way. We have gone to the opposite extreme. So for leftists, for decades, thanks to the left, and the indoctrination efforts, the efforts to destroy our national identity, for decades, we have been telling ourselves essentially a founding myth designed to make us hate ourselves. And as far as I'm aware, we're the first country in the world to do this. Like, that's what you have to understand. We're the first country to ever invent a story of its own founding that's designed to make us look bad to ourselves. I mean, if you're going to have a founding myth, it's much, much, much better and healthier and more productive to make it something heroic and inspirational rather than depressing and embarrassing. We lie to ourselves to make ourselves sound worse. Who does this? No one does this. You can't have a culture this way. Cultures don't work this way. So our new founding myth is that America was built on the backs of slaves which isn't true. That's not true. Yeah, we had slavery. Was America built on slavery? No. Could America still have existed without slavery? Yes. So that's not true. You know, the idea that we carry some kind of unique guilt for slavery, also not true. The idea that America was built on stolen land, not true. The idea that, you know, we have no right to exist as a nation, not true. The idea that this country was founded by committing genocide against the Indians, not true. So what I'm saying is that is our founding myth now. That's all a myth. None of that's true. And so it's for all people on the left saying, well, we got to tell the truth about our history. It's not the truth, though. That's the myth that you've created. So we're the first country in the world to have a founding myth that's designed to be depressing and humiliating. And it's the myth that the Smithsonian and academia and the media have been spreading for decades. And we have to bring it to an end. I mean, it's good that we're bringing it to an end. This is very important. Now, of course, not everybody agrees. Obviously, the left's very upset. Here's one of the Krasenstein brothers on TikTok whining about all this. Watch.
Donald Trump just basically said that museums in the United States are out of control and woke because there's exhibits within these museums about slavery. He wrote, "The Smithsonian is out of control where everything discusses how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was, ... Either Donald Trump has never been to a museum in his life, which probably is true, or he's grossly exaggerating what he did see in these museums. Teaching Americans, especially children, about where we screwed up, like with slavery, is actually a good thing because it prevents us from following in those footsteps again. Trying to erase the history that makes us look bad is really something that dictators of the past have done time and time again. So if you want to actually teach our children and not indoctrinate them, then I would say let's not touch these museums. Do you agree?
Well, no, I don't. Thanks for asking, Ed, or whoever, whichever one you are. No to all that. Actually, it turns out that focusing obsessively on slavery does not prevent us from following in those footsteps. I mean, this is the nonsense that we hear about why we have to constantly rehash the sins of the past, and we have to constantly obsess over it because that's the only way to make sure we don't make the same mistake again. It hasn't worked out that way. Slavery was the dehumanization and commodification of human life. As we talked about, it was all across the globe engaged in this, and non-Western, non-white cultures engaged in it, oftentimes much more, into much longer, into much more brutal extent. But that's what slavery is. It's the dehumanization and commodification of human life. And okay, well, we are a culture obsessed with relitigating and apologizing for slavery, and yet at the same time, we're also engaged in the dehumanization and commodification of human life right now. Abortion, surrogacy. I mean, even the arguments the left makes for illegal immigration are really just arguments for slavery, for slave labor. If your mattress has the supportive qualities of wet cardboard and you wake up each morning feeling like you need an on-call chiropractor, then it's time to check out Helix Sleep. Improve your nights and start genuinely sleeping well so you can wake up each morning feeling like you actually got some rest and you're ready to take on whatever the day has in store. I never realized how badly I needed a new mattress until I finally got one. I've had my Helix mattress for a long time now and could not be happier with it. It does incredibly well with temperature regulation, which really eases some of those annoying middle of the night wake-ups. Keeping cool and comfortable is essential as the temperature is really hot now, especially down here in Nashville. And that's why the mattress is even more important. Plus, it's easy to connect to other wearable devices so you can actually see the data to back up your sleep improvements each night. No more questioning. What makes Helix different is they don't just sell you a random mattress. They actually match you with the perfect one for your body and sleep style. Whether you're a side sleeper, back sleeper, or somewhere in between, they've got you covered. All you got to do is take their sleep quiz and find your ideal match. Trust me, when you find the right match, you'll wonder how you ever slept on anything else. Right now is actually the perfect time to upgrade your sleep because Helix is offering a fantastic Labor Day sale. Go to helixsleep.com/Walsh to get 27% off site-wide. That's helixsleep.com/Walsh. for 27% off site-wide. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. HelixSleep.com/Walsh. Instead of, hey, who's going to pick the cotton? It's who's going to pick the strawberries. So apparently obsessing over some dark aspect of your own past will not stop you from repeating it. If anything, and this is true in your personal life as well, I mean, this is just a general truth. If anything, the more you obsess over the bad stuff in the past, the more likely it is that you'll stay in that cycle and keep repeating it. When you focus on, as Trump said in his Truth Social post, where's the light? We need things that are light and bright and inspiring. And it's true, because when you focus on the dark things all the time and your mind's always just on the dark things, that's where you live. That's the road you're walking. And the other thing too, and I'll say this, and I've already talked quite a bit about the real history of slavery and how it's not a uniquely American sin. We've talked about that. I'm not going to rehash it right now, although I'm sure I will many more times. But let me point out another problem, though, with this self-hating approach to American history. And I think that this is like an underrated problem with it. It's boring. Okay, it's really just dull and awful and boring. It's one of the reasons why so many kids in this country grow up to have no interest in history. We live in a country now full of historically illiterate morons, and this is one of the reasons. It's because they've been relentlessly pummeled by this dreary, repetitive nonsense, and they see the whole subject as sort of excruciating and tedious and depressing. And that's really tragic, because in reality, history is fascinating. American history is especially fascinating. I would argue that we have the most fascinating history of any nation on earth, especially when you consider what America achieved and how quickly it achieved it. No country on earth has ever done this. It's incredible. There's so many incredible stories from our past, so many other things we could be talking about. So slavery in America is, among other things, just really not that interesting of a topic. Not interesting enough to eat up as much of the historical conversation as it does. 2% of Americans own slaves. It's like, okay, we had slavery in this country, as a country, we had slavery for 90 years, and 2% of Americans own slaves. It's like, it's actually not that, it's not that significant of a part of our history, actually. It's not nearly as significant a part of our history as the left would have us believe. And it's not like, we get it. Okay, we get it. We do get it. Slavery happened. It was bad. Okay? Thank you. We got it. We really do. So you have all these people on the left. No, we have to remember. Yeah, we all know that. We know. Yes, we know. Yes, it's bad. Okay. Yes. Acknowledge. Everyone in the country acknowledges slavery is bad. We shouldn't have done it. It happened. It shouldn't have happened. It was bad. Okay, can we talk about something else now? Are there other things that happen in history that might be interesting to talk about? Can we talk about, I don't know, Lewis and Clark, Daniel Boone, the Apollo program, the building of the Panama Canal? I mean, there are a million fascinating subjects. And I know you might claim that, well, a lot's already been said on all those subjects. What are you saying, Matt? Are you saying, well, are you really claiming that we don't, nobody talks about Lewis and Clark, the Panama Canal, or the Apollo program? Yeah, actually, that is what I'm saying. Test me on it, okay? How many high school seniors in this country do you think could write even 4 sentences explaining who Lewis and Clark were and what they achieved and when they achieved it? How many could give you 4 sentences on the Apollo missions or on the building of the Panama Canal? How many high school seniors could tell you, even within 50 years, when the Panama Canal was built? You give them a 50-year on either side cushion. Could they get within that range? Without consulting ChatGPT? If you were to ask the average American high schooler in the year 2025, who are the just to you, who are the 10 greatest American heroes up to 50 years ago, let's say? From our nation's founding to about 50 years ago, a lot of great American heroes in that time. Give me your top 10. Give me your top 10. How many high school seniors could even think of 10 names? Like, just forget about heroes. Name 10 Americans who lived between, say, the year 1800 to 1940. So kind of an arbitrary. 1800 to 1940. Give me 10 Americans. Any 10 who lived in that 140-year time period. How many high school seniors could do that? Like, we all know the answer is, I don't know, 5%, 2%, 1%. Because we are, and this is the education system. This is all. You want to talk about indoctrination? People are being indoctrinated to be historically illiterate buffoons who do not know anything about the history of their own country. And this is all deliberate. Because if they knew something, if they knew anything about any real thing about our nation's history, they would, as a consequence, they would not be able to help but feel deeply proud of this country. Because our history is so incredible. You wouldn't be able to help but feel pride. And the left wants to make sure that no one feels pride in this country and no one loves this country. And so the only way to do it is to make sure that no one knows anything about it. You got a bunch of, the Americans walking around as if they just sprang out of the ground, as if the world itself began at the moment of their birth, as if nothing happened before, right? Except slavery. For a lot of Americans today, two things happened in history: slavery and the Holocaust. Those are the only two things that happened. For a lot of people walking around today, it's slavery happened, then the Holocaust, and then me. It's like, that's it. That's all the things that happened in history. Nothing else happened. Maybe the Crusades. They don't know anything about the Crusades, but the Crusades, and I think there was the Inquisition. That's where the Catholics did some bad stuff or something. And then slavery, and then the Holocaust, and it's just nothing. It's just a bunch of terrible things. And then here I am. That's the story of world history that most people have jumbling around in their heads. And that's a major problem, and one that I think Trump is trying to fix. Okay. If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the Matt Walsh Show Twitter page. Hope to see you there. Godspeed.